Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and good evening to everybody present here. Today's session will be delving into the aspects of what love is, what physical relationship is, and if there is any relationship between love and physical relationship. So we hear every day in social media, in normal mass media, in the newspapers and magazines, while we're talking between friends, between colleagues, and between human beings, and also between human beings and other creatures in this world. We talk about love. And then there are people who are more inclined on the spiritual path. But then, is there a relationship between love, the so called love, and what we normally refer to as love on the spiritual path? And even on the spiritual path, if there is a distinction uh, between the love we normally talk about in different aspects and the real love that many spiritual masters and gurus refer to. So this session will be a kind of an investigation into that, and we have our Rinpoche Shyalpa here, and we have Sita Shakti, and then Anna. So before we go into the dialogue, let me introduce you how today's session will be. I will try to make it as brief as possible because this will be an introductory session. And so first we'll have a round of introduction. I'd like to invite everybody present on the speakers panel to introduce themselves. And then we'll have a round of discussion among uh, the guests here. And then we'll also invite if anybody in the audience that would like to put up their views and their perspective. So let's get right into the introduction phase. And I'd like to invite, first of all, Honorable Rinpoche to introduce himself. And then I'll come to uh, Masita Shakti and then to Anna. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kumarji, and hello to everyone. Actually, I consider myself as a peace lover and who advocates peace and who is trying to promote peace. And as we need peace now more than ever, I believe that when we find peace, we will be able to experience love. The love in a relative world as well as the love in a spiritual world. We will be able to experience it and we will be able to enjoy it. We will be able to actualize it when we find peace. The only way that we'll be able to experience love and able to enjoy love is when there is no sort of a right or wrong, good or bad, hope or fear, when there is no limitation in a way you see, where you feel, where you think, where you experience. I firmly believe that you can experience ecstasy, you will be able to enjoy bliss in every move that you make, every way that you think. So therefore, ultimately, I believe to be able to truly understand love and truly able to experience love, you have to find peace within and peace in the world. Thank you. That's my just 2 cents worth of you know, so like a idea or a belief, and I hope it was clear to all of you.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche, for your brief introduction. And you started with peace and then tried to connect it with love. And then I'd like to go to Sita Shakti. So I would like to have a brief introduction on what you're doing and uh, what you are going to do in the future. So this would be also an introduction to the the spiritual activities that you're involved in.
Thank you, Kumarji. So, first of all, I actually want to thank His Eminence Shyalpa Rinpoche because what he just said really summarizes my view of what real love really is. Um, yeah, for me, love is is basically creating that space for both people to find peace of mind, to find inner peace, to be each other's, source of peace in a world um, that offers very little of that. Um, my little path, if you want, towards this idea started in actually in 1993. Um, so I'm originally from Romania, and like the majority of everyone in Romania, I was raised Eastern Orthodox. Um, and in March 93, um, things worked out in such a way that I attended one um, evangelical broadcast by Billy Graham, um, who was basically doing this evangelical campaign from Germany, from Essen, and was broadcasting via satellite, in several locations in the world. And the reason I went was that, at that point, um, a satellite transmission was such a new thing, such a revolutionary thing. I thought I wouldn't miss it, right? So at the end of at that teleconference, um, everybody was asked to stand up and do a prayer. And it was, for me, it was during that prayer that something really significant happened. Um, I basically had an out-of-body experience. And during that experience, I was literally taken to meet the divine source of the universe. I would not call it, quote unquote God. I would call it the source energy of the universe. And that was the first time when I understood, what the kind of peace that surpasses understanding means. It I experience, the kind of peace, the kind of acceptance, the kind of real unconditional love. That what, you know that out of body experience gifted me in that moment. And I came back from it with, first of all, with a really intense need to learn as much as I could about spirituality. And I also came out of it with, I came out of it as a completely changed person. So from that moment, I have lost my fear of death. I also understood that, death and the process of dying are two very different things. But up until that point, because of my upbringing, I used to be terrified of the idea of, hell and the afterlife, and dying and death as as non-existence, because I understood that there's no such thing as non-existence. We just leave our material body, and our consciousness never ends. We just gain a new level of freedom, actually, and we become one with that source of peace and bliss and unconditional love that I met during that out of body experience. Now, years later, the more I studied religion, at Christianity in particular, the more I realized that it really wasn't for me. So I would not consider myself a Christian anymore. However, I have not lost my interest in spirituality. I have not lost my interest in finding out as much as possible about the unseen, about everything and anything that's beyond the veil of 3D reality. And um, I know what unconditional love is. I've experienced that. I've been able to create that for myself. And I also understood, through my meditation practice, I understood that, it's possible to get, no matter what happens around you, no matter what happens in your physical world, no matter what happens inside your physical body, regardless of whatever type of pain you might be in the moment, you can get in touch in a matter of seconds with that immense, endless peace and with that unconditional love, just by intending to do so and going inward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience and also your perspectives on what unconditional love is. You started with your experience and then try to delve into the different phases of spirituality. We'll come back to that later, but then let me then go to Anna. And would you like to introduce yourself and your activity, and then we'll get straight into the topic that we've set for today.
Thank you, Kumar and Rinpoche and Sita, for all that you shared about your experience. About the room's topic about love, relationships, and sex, I would like to speak about my experience, and it's about self-love, and it's about the integration of this of oneself with the great self, and the integration starts with your body, mind, soul, and heart. And then when you realize that you are united first with yourself, and then as yourself, that you belong and that you're part of the great soul, the great spirit, the great being, then the relationships change around you because you're not isolated, and then you share more. And when you are isolated or not integrated, then you project the parts of yourself that are not that you reject from yourself in others. So the others, because of the love they have to you, towards you, show what you are supposed to be integrate. And the thing that I have um, comprehend the most is that you don't integrate those parts because you are judging between good and wrong, or bad or good. And as long as you judge, you're going to be like dividing yourself into many pieces. So I think that for me, the word that gathers everything into one thing is the sense of being united first with yourself, and then I don't know which come first, but for me it has to be the first with yourself and all the parts of yourself, accepting that you're part of a greater self, and then that sense of integrity, of union, of integration, uh, and plenty. I don't know the word in English. Kumar, can you help me? It's I will it in Spanish is plenitud. It's like a
Hmm.
sense of fullness.
Yes, it's called abundance. Okay.
It's not in the way of abundance, of richness, but of
Hmm.
plenitude, of
Okay.
being complete. Let me
Okay.
check. And 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 that what I have discovered this year is like being in that sensation, that feeling of being full, being complete, is the way I experience love. And I will try and I will experience and try to experience that every day. And I have changed. I think that my relationships have changed when I feel in that place of being full. Let me check with the exact word about I was talking about, and I will. Yes, the word is fullness, plenitud in Spanish. Fullness, being full, like everything that you are is already perfect, and you are already perfect as you are part of the great being, and I will I will try to experience that more in the next year to come.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll come back to you, Anna. So before that, I'll go to Kremena, and I'd like her to introduce herself, and then I'll come back to Anna because she's now what she has just expressed. I think it is in very in line with what we wanted to delve into today. And so I have some questions for you, and then I'll come back to everyone. But before that, Kremena, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes. Say, my name is Kremena, and I'm originally from Bulgaria, and I live in the United States. And what I do is just I do acupuncture as a practitioner, and right now I'm a teacher at a school, at preschool with children, and that's my job at the moment. With COVID, I have no choice, but I really enjoy being with children because they totally teach me.
And I teach them a lot, and we're having a good time together. So I'm sorry I haven't been in the conversation so far since I just getting up, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm on. You know, that's what you would like me to do, to introduce myself like that. So thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
very much. Yes, exactly what we wanted. Yes. Let me get back to Anna. Anna was saying that when you have this fullness, when you feel this fullness inside you, then your relationship with the entire world and the universe changes. So, uh, when you say fullness, do you mean that there is no division between this and that, and uh, in line with the topic today between male and female. Uh, so is it that the distinction disappears and you are overwhelmed with the that fullness that you understand this distinction and you feel that or you find that your whole relationship and your experience on this earth changes. Is that it, Anna?
That's right, Kumar. I have experienced. I have experienced that every conflict that you have in life with a person of any subject is a reminder of that, a reminder of coming into unity in that, becoming like returning to being integrated. And so conflicts, and because of that, and conflicts in, it's like the difference, right? Is that like the messenger, the symptom of some integration work that you may or should should do in order to experience the fullness of all your potential, the fullness of love, the fullness of abundance. Because as long as you don't have divisions or isolations, or as isolated parts, or rejected parts, or rejected people, or rejected topics, your potential is infinite. So that's a recent discovery that I have made, and I would like to experience that more, because I think that that's the work of my life. That is going to be, how can I be more comprehensive of everything that surrounds me, without rejecting, without judging, without judging, especially between bad and good. And that applies to everything in life. And well, and when you look to the part of the sex part, I I would like to experience that more, because I have been like protecting myself from that, from the plenitude, experiencing sex and relationships. So, well, that's, yeah, I think that's the next part of my life, experiencing that plenitude in relationships, and love, and with a partner, and maybe being a mother. So yes, Kumar, I don't know what else. I'll be here to
Yeah,
comment
thank you.
anything you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I fully got it. So, what we're saying is that when you have the fullness, there is a transcendence, right? So, I'd like to move on to Sita and inquire. So, in her spiritual part, after she had this uh, O- OB or out of body experience, uh, and that experience cannot be replicated for sure, but it will leave something behind. And in what is left in her being, do you feel that there is a very distinct role of sex in our existence? But in our spiritual path, how do you feel the role of sex is? Or is sex a hindrance on the spiritual path, or is it something that helps you? What do you feel, Sita?
Thank you for that question. It's a very interesting one. Um, the way I see it, sex doesn't necessarily have to be a hindrance on our spiritual path, um, but it can be. Um, it also can be a significant way of ascending spiritually. And what makes the difference between, sex being um, a modality of ascension and of opening up spiritually, or a hindrance, is first of all um, the intention behind it when we approach it, and two, whether we engage in it with the right kind of partner. So if you see physical intimacy as a way of creating, a spiritual union with the other person, as a way of literally merging energy, and with with the purpose, with the goal of literally raising your vibration, ascending spiritually, experiencing not only physical union but energetic and spiritual union, then absolutely sex can be actually a modality of ascending spiritually. It happens during, it happens after, it absolutely happens. However, if you approach it from a place of need, if you approach it from a place of, to quote Anna, if you approach sex from a place where you are not whole within yourself, where you're not healed within yourself, right? Then the pursuit of physical gratification is, comes from a need of filling up, this gap inside us, right? So you will not be able, even if you might have a partner who's spiritually ascended, if you are not healed, if you are not whole, if you approach sex as, from a place of lack, or from a need to feel, this emptiness inside, right? Then you will not be able to use it, towards your spiritual ascension. It is not possible. Um, if you approach it as a way of, I don't know, making yourself feel important, relevant, wanted, desirable, in demand, important, or whatever, right? That's not the way, you know, um, to ascend spiritually in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, going back to your question, right? To summarize, um, if you have done the inner work, if you have been able to integrate without judgment the positive, as whatever it is you see as positive aspects of yourself, and whatever it is that you might see as less than positive aspects of yourself, right? If you can show yourself that kind of unconditional love, if you can show yourself fearlessly that kind of utter and complete love without any kind of judgment, without any kind of self-criticism, right? This is where you become whole. This is where you integrate, you recognize the uniqueness of who you really are. And once you become whole, one of the things that happens, and I've noticed that for me, um, I am no longer, how can I say, I am no longer ruled, controlled by my physical impulses at all. Um, I am no longer, ruled by a need for physical intimacy, because that need for completeness is already fulfilled within me because of who I am and because of my connection to Source, not because of external gratification of any kind. So I do not, I'm at a point in life where I am literally not looking for a partner of any kind. I am absolutely complete and whole as I am. And I will also not accept any kind of partner unless that person is just as complete, just as whole, just as spiritually ascended as I am. Because I also recognize that for me, to engage in intimacy with another person, that depending on where the other person is, can be detrimental to my energy. If I was to engage with someone who's in a, lower vibration, that can affect my own energy vibration, and I don't want that for myself. So I prefer not to. And again, to conclude, right, to answer your question, if our spiritual practices differ, everyone is on a different path. So for someone, celibacy can mean the way to achieve their spiritual ascension, and that's absolutely okay. For others, being in energetic and spiritual and physical union with another person can also help in our spiritual ascension. That's just a different path. We reach spirituality and we reach ascension in many different ways. Everyone is different. Every path is different. But we need to be discerning, right? The only things that can help our spirituality are those things that raise our vibration, that make us better, that leave us feeling better from all points of view, right? So if you engage physically with somebody who is not prepared to understand what your demands are, what your standards are, it's not going to help. If you engage physically with somebody who is who is vibrating low, that vibration can literally bring your energy down. It can literally siphon your vitality. Um, so I would advise against it, at least for myself. Right? Everyone is different. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sita. So, what I gather from your perspective is that there is a phase in which an aspirant finds that he or she is complete and has no need for any kind of intimacy in the sense that we're talking about physical relationship, because uh, that need mm, has been shed and it has been laid down and dropped. So it is no more something of necessity. And there are people, there are aspirants who uh, would like to remain or are forced to remain celibate because they think that being celibate would uh, guarantee a quicker ascension in the spiritual path. And then there are the rest of the people of the world, of the samsara, who are in between these two things. So, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's part of what I'm saying. And yeah, what I was basically, the answer to your initial question, whether physical intimacy can hinder or help our spiritual ascension. Um, yeah, it depends on the partners that we choose, right? So if we decide that physical intimacy is going to help our ascension, then by all means we should engage in it. Now, as I was saying earlier, the intent matters and the partner matters. So the intent is, well, do we engage in it because we want to achieve that closeness and that communion with our partner, or do we engage in it because we want to feel some kind of void inside ourselves, or some kind of to gratify our egos, right? To make ourselves feel more important, right? It depends. So we should approach anything and everything, not just physical intimacy, absolutely everything we do. We should approach it with discernment. We should take a moment to ponder, right? Is this going to help me or is this not going to help me? Does this serve my greater good or doesn't it serve my greater good? And this can apply to anything at all, to the food we choose and to the amount of food we choose, to whatever it is that, we drink or not drink, to the pastimes that we engage in or choose not to engage in. Absolutely anything. And even to the people that we choose to allow in our lives. Anything and everything can either become a hindrance or an advantage to our spiritual growth. So we need to have that discernment. We need to act from a place of awareness.
Thank you very much. Maybe that is the right way of living, the art of living, where you exactly know what should be left behind and what should be taken forward. So that itself is an art, and it may be very difficult. But then our whole goal is that uh, to learn the art of right living, so that we can go forward in our path. And it is decidedly a very difficult path. It's like walking on the razor's edge, and sex, above all things. Uh, if we talk about food or wine or other things, sex is one of the very powerful forces and energies that we have available to us. And even the great rishis and sages, they've tried to master it and then try to apply it, um, thinking that they could be masters, and they have failed. They have met with their doom, and so yeah. So maybe we have to be aware of this thing. But then I'd like to ask uh, Rinpoche. But before I come to Rinpoche, I would like to ask Kremena, what are her viewpoints as someone living in an, let's say, in the samsara? What are her perspectives, Kremena, if you can?
Yeah, namaste one more time. Yes, I listened very carefully and I really, really enjoy the conversation and the points that Sita has made so far. And yes, I just wanted to continue on along the line of what she pointed out about the spiritual synchronicity that has to be there in order to, to have a sexual relationship with your partner. However, the spiritual synchronicity is not necessary for your own synchronicity to occur within you. You can be synchronized within yourself and within your own world and with the world outside in many other levels. It does not have to happen physically with anybody else around so that you are feeling full and content and happy and joyful and spreading light to everybody around you. So I personally am married. So I have a husband, and he and myself are completely different in many different ways. But this, the sexual part is not forced upon anybody. We just do it at our own will whenever we feel this synchronicity happening at the moment. Because this also changes. Synchronicity also changes, of course. You cannot be synchronized with, with your partner all the time. So, what I'm saying is that there has to be ease, ease in the mind about all that happening. You don't have to force anything. You have to really discern the moment. You really have to do that. Thank you for listening. That's my experience. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Kremena. So, what you brought about is this ease or this respect for each other, and then when you have respect for each other, maybe many conflicts are resolved, and there will not be this any kind of attrition and friction, so that the love and the relationship that you have is deviated from your original path. Yeah, so it may be very difficult for many couples who are married or who are living together. But uh, definitely this fullness that Anna mentioned and then Sita elaborated upon, it doesn't come to everyone on the path. It has to come by itself. You can't invite it. Uh, you can welcome it, but then you can't invite it so that it is there for you. So then uh, how does it happen with people who are living in the sangha, in a kind of a community where these things are the rules are laid down? So I'd like to go to Rinpoche and ask how it is viewed and how it works in the sangha.
Very, very interesting conversation. I was listening and I felt some clarifications may be useful here. Um, first of all, to be on a spiritual journey is to be able to relate to everything as sacred. So if you really pay attention to be able to relate to everything as sacred is only possible when you are able to relate to everything in the most natural ways. As we live, as the energy unobstructedly flows, if and when we are able to integrate in this energy without fabrication, without conditioning, then there is a possibility for us to take this journey. And this journey then becomes a spiritual journey. In the spiritual journey, one is free from conditional self. In this spiritual journey, one is able to truly, actualize your basic goodness, your natural way. For instance, let me not just talk about our tradition where I was raised. Let me quote this from Rumi, and I'm sure you all know Rumi. And he said, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. That's what Rumi said. That meeting point is the sort of like a sanctuary where one is able to experience and love. And this meeting point where you are going to be able to experience love is not, sort of designed by self and designed by anything, any agenda, for instance. This has no sort of like no sort of like a conception, and this state is naturally complete. That natural complete state can be only experienced when you are complete and when you are, whole. When you say when you are whole means that there is no unwhole, there is no half self, or there is no limited self. When there is no limitation, then there is possibility for you to integrate, because in that limitlessness, there is no fear, there is no agenda, there is no expectation. When you do not have all these, there is natural flow of energy. In that natural flow of energy, everything is perfect, everything is sacred. So you are able to then completely dissolve in that, juicy life, so to speak. And here, there is no anyone, who are involving in a contrived ways. There's natural perfection. So in this natural perfection, there is no need to reject anyone. There is no need to protect anyone, because there is no one who can be protected, who needs to be protected, because this is unconditional. In unconditional state of our being is indestructible. Unconditional state of our being is luminous. And unconditional state of our being is perfect from the beginning, because that is original. Remain in that original form is the natural form. So here, whether you have sex or no sex doesn't really matter. You have a union with luminous clarity, even if you have no, physical union with a partner. So you do not lack, you do not starve, because you have been able to unite with, clear intelligence, which is imbued with compassionate, so like a heart, compassionate feeling. But then, even if you are physically uniting with a partner, that partner too is divine energy, natural flow of energy. You are able to integrate in that natural flow. You're able to dance with the partner. Partner, not necessarily physical woman as a partner, rather. Each and every energy unobstructedly flowing is your partner. So when you see the beauty of this, you're able to see the beauty of your partner. When you see the beauty of your partner, then you do not need to hold back. You are capable of, or you are willing to, or you are interested in giving yourself fully and partnering with whoever is with you fully. So in that you find celebration. In that you find compatibility. So today in this world, that is lacking because of ignorance, because of selfish agendas, because of attachment to self, because we have been habituated in conditioning and feeling this is me, this is self, so I don't want to do this, I want to do this. So always we are involved in that way because we are enslaved. We are enslaved by our desire, our anger, our jealousy, our pride, because we are not able to see all these things as a natural flow of energy. Instead, we condition them. We condition these feelings, where then we lack opportunity to celebrate our life. So real meditators, real spiritual beings are able to celebrate life with partner or without partner, because there's no hindrance and whatsoever. All are good. In the goodness, one is able to truly find freedom from selfishness. So that is where you are truly going to be able to enjoy love. And I wish, I pray, and everybody will have opportunity to embrace this, because everyone is capable of, and everyone can really experience this within this very lifetime. And this is what, Vajrayana tradition and the Great Perfection tradition, one of the highest Buddhist teachings are always sort of sharing and bringing clarity for thousands of years. So this is not something new age idea or one or two persons experience or anything like this. This is like a nectar. This is like a gold, a pure gold that was churned, that was burned, that was cut and tested, and find there's no defilements in it, no impurity in it. So these teachings are still available, and this is one thing actually I am personally sharing with everyone, because I feel that everyone deserves this understanding and realization. Actually, this is everyone's birthright to be able to embrace this and actualize this. So I'm trying to sort of share this, in the mainstream, like seekers, and to find a platform where we can all come together and share, and to create an inclusive place. And lately, I have been involving in creating Universal Peace Sanctuary in the birthplace of Buddha. Not because I'm Buddhist that I'm creating in the birthplace of Buddha, because I see that as unique place where a mother sacrificed her life to express her unconditional love. That is the mother of Prince Siddhartha. Similar to Queen Maya Devi, all mothers in the past, present, and future are courageously, taking the responsibility seriously as a mother and, sharing unconditional love. If we are able to honor mother's love, unconditional love, I feel that everybody will be able to recognize and realize that there is possibility for all of us to experience this unconditional love in each and every moment. And to this, I'm advocating awareness of nowness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche, for your elaborate explanation into this concept of the natural state where everything becomes joy, and regardless of the distinctions that we normally make between this and that and here and there. Thank you very much for that, and also for bringing in the topic of joy and peace. Mm, so, yes, so uh, our scheduled time for the speakers was 1 hour, which we are nearly completing. If anybody has any questions, I would like to ask something. uh, I would like to allow a few queries. You can raise your hands, and but then we'll be wrapping up for today, and it will also be continuing these important dialogues in the future. But before we do that, if anybody has something to ask, something that is lingering in their minds, that would be a good thing. It would be a good opportunity to put forth these questions. So if anybody has any questions, you're welcome. And I'd like to thank everybody here for being here and taking their time and energies. And Sita had to rush from uh, uh, a distant place to be able to make it for this room. And Anna is also struggling with her commitments, and Kremena has just woke up, and Rinpoche has his own commitments. Uh, I really thank the Supreme Being for making this possible. Because I think this is something very important. This dialogue and the mere uh, uh, testimony that these are possible. Whatever has been brought up in this room, in this conversation, these can be realized. These, whatever we've talked about, are not merely concepts. These are something that can be experienced in our lifetime. This is something that's very important. And thank you for bringing up these uh, by your own presence in this room to all the speakers and also to all the listeners who are uh, here and dedicating their time to attentively listen to these conversations and trying to imbibe these in their own beings. Uh, may everybody embark on this path for self-realization and this completion within themselves, and then naturally with the whole world and universe. So these are our wishes for everyone. And so if anybody has any questions, uh, uh, I will still make it available for, I will still wait for a few minutes. Uh, if not, uh, I'd like to invite all the speakers to part with their last words for today, naturally. So I'd like to start with Anna, if she's still here, because uh, she has a commitment and she does, um, is holding on to this room. So if Anna is here, I'd like to ask her if she still has something to complete with, and if not, I'd like to go with Kremena. Yeah, Kremena, if you're here. Okay, so I'll go with Sita. So, yes, Kremena, please.
I would like to read a reflection.
Sure.
So here we go. It is about, one second, let me get it. So it is about love's discipline. Rumi says, an ecstatic human being is a polished mirror that cannot help reflecting what we love we are. As the heart comes cleaner, we see the kingdom as it is. We become reflected light. The polishing may be related to practices, a devotion we do every day that is an emptying out. Or it may be that when we live in the soul, everything can be used for clarity. Muhammad once said, people who insult me are only polishing the mirror. I can't say precisely what polishing the mirror of the heart means, but I feel it happening slowly, and it does seem to be related to discipline, by which I mean intentionally giving time to what Rumi calls the jeweled inner life, which could be just the witness watching the mind. Thank
Thank you, Kremena, for the beautiful poem that you read from Rumi. And yes, but naturally, ecstasy is something that does not come from the body. So, but it may take a long before we realize that. But the effort has to be made to walk on this path. And it is definitely arduous, but then there's no other way if we are to embark on this journey. So thank you very much, Kremena, once again. Anna, if you're here, I'd like to request you to speak a few words at the end of the session. Yes, if not, I'll go to Sita. Sita, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in just absolute awe and reverence of what um, His Eminence, Shyalpa Rinpoche said earlier, and it's absolutely true. So whether it's whether it's physical intimacy, whether it's anything else, if you see it as a hindrance on your spiritual path, it will be a hindrance on your particular spiritual path. If you see it as an advantage in your spiritual path, then it will be an advantage on your spiritual path. It's all about our perception of every little thing in life. It's about yeah, like it's been said already in the room, whether you can be in absolute flow with absolute no resistance towards a certain course of action. And it's also recognizing that if there is resistance, then that's a sign that there's some sort of hindrance somewhere. So if there is a resistance, then you either work on that trigger within yourself which interprets something as being a resistance, or you don't follow the course of action that includes the resistance. Those are two ways of dealing with obstacles on the spiritual path. But yeah, it's all about healing. It's all about integrating. It's all about becoming whole. And in the process of becoming whole, you also become one with absolutely everything. And that's the source of peace. That's where we come full circle to love means absolute peace and absolute bliss. That's what it is. Thank
Thank you, Sita. Thank you very much. So maybe in order to make ourselves whole, uh, we have to put our time, energy, and effort into dissolving these divisions that we are conditioned with, and then work on it patiently. And maybe when we're whole, then we'll embark upon the holy path. So thank you very much for bringing that. And now I'd like to come to Rinpoche Shyalpa. If you'd like to add something as we are nearing the end of our session, and that would be very much appreciated.
Yes, life is not a rehearsal. So being an observer and witnessing something uh, has limitation. Being able to actualize your natural way where there is no hindrance, where you are effortlessly and living your life as if there is no next moment, is the way of a spiritual being. And I also agree with the Sita. You have to be practical, and by knowing your own capability. And we say that If fox try to jump where tiger jumps, fox might break his back. So all beings are, embodying this, universal essence. However, not everyone is able to recognize that. Not everyone is able to purify all the obscurations. Therefore, not necessarily everyone is right this very moment able to live effortlessly and accomplish everything spontaneously. However, that is the real possibility, and
Lucy, what's going on?
everyone, if believes in that possibility, will be very, very meaningful. And any way that we can so like a shed light on that and bring encouragement and inspiration to everyone will be a very, very meaningful thing. And I would like very much to and encourage everyone to be the best that you can be, the most kind-hearted that you can be, most meaningful person that you can be, most helpful person that you can be, by knowing that ultimately snake can untie itself and no one is needed to untie the snake. By believing in that ability which exists within all of us, and at the same time, whatever ignorance that is disturbing them, whatever limitation that is causing suffering for them, by realizing these limitations, these sufferings that one seems to experience, and in this world people seem to experience, is nothing but an illusion. However, like a magician, if you are able to involve in this action of participating in illusion without attaching to your own creation, and if we can involve compassionately, I think we are going to be able to serve entire humanity. We are going to be able to serve ourselves, and we are going to be able to find partners that you can dance with to celebrate life. Thank you, Kumarji, and happy to be here. And I'm glad that you have this room to discuss on these subjects, and other panel, distinguished guests are very, very interesting, and I enjoyed all of you, and I feel that all the listeners and in the audience here, I'm sure you guys are paying really good attention and taking many, many useful informations to handle your life better. And I would like to encourage you to diligently meditate and diligently, uh, you know, pursue in living a most natural way that you possibly see and one can achieve. So original way and natural way is the only way. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, and we'll be continuing this discussion in the future. So I'd like to thank everyone. And before I do that, let me chant a small line. Uh, Lead us from unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. So let us keep these lines in our heart and work on these. Thank you, everyone. I'll be in the room. Thank you once again, and let us see soon. Thank you very much.